Tower right here in Northport, Florida. I am live back on the internet. Uh, I want to thank Rich Suggs and Mayor Pete for jumping online real quick. I have fixed the background noise. Anybody who joins me, I want to double check that. But here's the importance of what's going on out there in the real world. I believe right now we've been inundated with a lot of traffic from different locations. There, people are coming down to be looky loos. Looky loos need to stay away. And people who are joining me on Facebook right now, please let me know if I've got an echo in the background. I believe I have it fixed now. So I've got to give Public Works some major kudos because I met with a few of the workers in Public Works less than 12 hours into this event, and they were telling me that we were not going to have water for quite some time. I will tell you that I do have water right now over in the Toledo Blade corridor. I lost power for about 12 hours. I've got internet through both Frontier and at my office, and also with Xfinity. Boil water, boil your water. I will promise you that if you're out waiting around in this stuff, remember that we are on septic. Not the large portion of us are on the public sewer. And oh, by the way, public sewers and their pipes run on Price Boulevard. When Price Boulevard erodes, what happens to the pipes that are running side by side? You guessed it. You got raw sewage. Do we have raw sewage going in our canals? Yes. If you're out there waiting around in those canals, guess what? You're waiting in that, and you have no way of taking a shower. So, a couple suggestions. Make sure that you have Clorox, a couple capfuls, and whatever water you can find to wipe down with. Trust me, if you've got open wounds and you're out there waiting around in the water, you're going to get some infections. All right. I also made it all the way down. We've got really dramatic drone shots that we'll be uploading later today. I'm going to get with staff at City Hall. These drone shots are amazing. My brother-in-law, Eric Davies, is a professional pilot for drones, and he has done some amazing work on getting the videos. We're going back out to capture more, but I'm kind of staying off the road right now because I believe that the responders need to be out there, along with the fact that there are so many people coming into this area just to see what it looks like. Suggestion: if you're going to come into this area to see what it's going to look like, you're making a big mistake. 1 second, please. I'm going to take this. Amy, you're live on the air, so make it quick. Text me. So she's not live on the air, and she got off the phone because I don't think she can hear me. As for any of your loved ones that are out there right now, I promise you, there are people trying to call me, and they're less than 15 minutes away from me. If you can't get a hold of them, find different modes of getting a hold of them. Facebook Messenger. Use Facebook Messenger. If you can comment on the comment side right now on what you're using to communicate with other people, it may help other people that are in hard times right now, that are stuck in water. I know that I went out on a boat yesterday, and we got people out of harm's way. The water yesterday at Sumter and 75 was up to the bottom of my truck, coming off of 75 to head towards 41 on Sumter. It is closed today because the amount of water that they're releasing from the estates, because of the amount of water that's coming into the estates. Remember, just because we're dry today doesn't mean that the rain yesterday from up north isn't coming this direction. We've had this on my show several times with Public Works on what they've done upstream to create good flow. Well, we've got good flow going on today. It's a 500-year storm that's creating this total destruction of property, along with the hurricane and the hurricane force winds. Keep that in mind, that if you're in the estates right now and they're coming by in rescue boats, and they are coming by in rescue boats, if they are coming by, just a quick, simple note. Don't be that person who says, I think I can make it. Get the heck out of there. Get some brains, and stop being yourself. I'm just telling you, it is not worth it, because at some point, as of, anybody who stayed in a low-lying area, the only thing you're doing is putting the rescue people at risk to lose their lives. That's what you're doing by being stubborn. Stop being stubborn and get out. Get out of those low-lying areas. And if you're in that estates area, there's more water coming. And I will give a weather side of things. On the weather side of things, we are getting a push offshore with wind. That's also going to help get some of this drainage out. But I think we've got about another 12 to 14 hours before that hits. My name is Susan D'Souza, and I am in Sarasota and volunteer at Common Grounds listening room on Wednesday night, open mic night with Bud. We just got our internet back, and and you sound great. Thank you for the feedback. By the way, I was over and saw Bud. I talked to Bud. They have 3 broken windows in their mobile home, which is unbelievable, because I got drone images of that whole area. It is not pretty. I'm getting goosebumps, but Bud and his family are fine. So the WKDW listening family right now, RJ is in great shape. He's going to be going live at 9 a.m. in the morning. Rich Suggs is up north. I talked to Marie, and I'm texting Marie. She's got just a few things going on there. They don't have water. They don't have electric, but things are going to get better for them. And they're safe, sound, and secure. They made it through. So any of our other members out there, if you can, feel free to chime in, shoot a text message to any of us. We're going to get that word out. And really, Susan, I really appreciate your feedback, because our volunteers at the Common Grounds make the Common Grounds what it is. And really, open mic night with Bud Buckley and his crew, they do an amazing job. They bring a lot of great music to the listening ear. And WKDW is really committed to being local radio that reaches out to everyone in the community. We have a huge listening audience on the internet. As you guys know, we got hit by lightning. We're in the process of getting our antenna up so that 97.5 is really back in full power. We just didn't finish that project because of Ian. And Ian would have taken our antenna down for the second time. We don't need that. I'm going to be going live again later today. I'm going to try to get Mayor Pete on. I can't promise you what time, but I promise you this. If I go live again, he's going to be sitting next to me, and we're going to really ask some more in-depth questions. And I hope that you, as the listening audience, will participate that. And I tell you right now, if you've got questions for Mayor Pete or any of the other commissioners, I've got them on my cell. I have them on my show. Get me those questions. Text me 941-391-4663. I will put my banner up. You can text me all you want. At this point, I've been checking on loved ones that are out there that have not had communications. I've been able to get my brother-in-law to fly a drone over and check on people's houses that have loved ones in it to see if there's any activity. So please feel free to text me or call me. Hopefully your phone call will go through. 941-391-4663. That's my cell directly to me. I'll be more than happy to help all I can. I'm going to try to put this up here. I'm working full time to do that. You can also email me. I got Wayne Saladay up there. Hold on. I don't want to do that. Let me edit this bad boy real quick. So tomorrow morning at about 9 o'clock, RJ will be going live. He's out near El Joe Bean, so he's got a lot going on there. I know that there was some major damage at the stadium. Those of you who know Twisted Fork and Harley Davidson, they sustained some damage, but nothing major. Again, let's talk about new builds. The new builds in our area seem to have, with or without window, by the way, held ground, did well, and really didn't have significant damage. Like Charlie, I was here for Charlie, and within the first quarter of a mile leaving the driveway, saw my first building on 41 off of Hillsboro that imploded on itself. I know it looks worse south, but I'm talking Northport for a minute. I have not seen the buildings implode. I've seen wind damage. I've seen things happen. And I've heard people say that we had nothing but old roofs here. That's not true. That's 100% not true. As a real estate agent, and one of many great ones here in our area, we do not really promote selling houses with bad roofs. One, you can't get insurance for it, so unless you're a cash buyer, you're going to have a new roof. And by the way, insurances have changed, and I've been talking with Justin Box from Allstate for about 4 years on the radio about those changes. If you don't think building codes are going to change again, they're going to. They're only going to get better. There's some houses that were built long ago that are still standing the test of time. There's houses down on Pine Island that we got pictures of today that were in St. James City, and I'm talking direct hit, as in coming right at them, right at their front doors, facing the waterway. They may have lost a lot, but I got to tell you, their house is intact. And that's thanks to the building codes that are out there today. Now, the beauty in that, they were not home. They were not home. And that's what needs to happen on these islands. And the people that stayed behind because they thought they could, shame on you. Shame on you, shame on you, shame on you. There was no reason at all for anyone to stay on an island by themselves. There was none. And we need to remind people of that. The assessment of where you stay is critical. And following the evacuation codes is exactly what you should do. The other thing that people need to remember about this storm is this was predicted to go to Tampa. If you're sending for supplies, remember that Tampa was the first spot to be hit. That's what was predicted. So all those supplies are already bought up there. Guess what's open? Gas stations. Everybody's going to be flocking that way. If you're driving down here to be a looky-loo, you're using gas for people who may need it down here for their generator. Think about that for a minute. It's a little common sense. You looky-loos out there, wake up. Stay out of our area. Stay out. If you want to bring supplies and help, I get it. But if you're coming down here to look around and assess the damage, you might just be causing more by utilizing the goods that we need to buy to keep people alive down here. And we're not down here. We've got damage down our whole coast. The people that are in Fort Myers and Naples, Immokalee, all those areas, we need to be helping them. We need to be staying out of their areas. We need to appreciate everything that first responders are doing. We're trying to get Northport information out. Rich is doing a great job. RJ is going to do a great job when he's back online tomorrow morning. We don't have the capability of going into our studios, but we have the capability of going live here at home. I went out, I assessed, I looked, and then I came straight back home. I'm going to give kudos to a fantastic restaurant, Tarpon Point. Tarpon Point today emptied out into the back of my truck all the perishables that they had in their cooler. They did not want them to go bad. So the owners of Tarpon Point have committed to the rebuild, have committed to being part of the fabric of our community, and want us to send love and respect and safety out to everyone in our community. And they did that by sending me with a truckload of produce, which I've given out to people in need. The beauty in that is I set all the produce out and I had people come and get it. And the reality is it's the thankfulness. It's the people that you know. It's the people that you don't know, maybe in your own neighborhood, that you might want to start to learn their name. Mabel and Reno were my neighbors when I was a kid. The Holroyds were down the street. I need you to remember what it was like to be a kid and know your neighbors. I have a feeling most of these people around here didn't know their neighbor before. They had a reason to introduce themselves, such as today or yesterday or the day before. That's called a reality check on what we've lost by being downlookers, using this and looking down and not paying attention to what's happening around you. These things are critical. And I tell you what, lifelines, these are lifelines for a lot of us. But if we don't know the people that we're around, the people that may need our help and the reasons why, there are health issues out there for seniors. There are people out there that really need to get their information to the right hands, and they may need help. We need to work on that as a community. We need to stay strong, and we need to rebuild. And rebuilding just doesn't mean the house. It means the neighborhoods and the people around you. And that's my suggestion. 941-391-4663. If you need anybody to be contacted down here, send me an address. I can go check it out when I'm out and about. I strategically do these things. Right now is not a good time for anybody to be on the road. There's so much traffic out there, it takes you forever to get there. Some main thoroughfares to keep in mind in our area. Hillsborough Boulevard, going towards Cranberry. If you're moving those signs out of the way because you have a big truck and you can make it, that road this morning was only 3/4 of a road. So as you're driving that depth, and I do have video of it, as you're driving that depth, look to your left and look to your right. If you see water pooling on the other side of that road, if you breach that road by being stupid enough to drive that road and continue to cause weakness in that structure, all of the water from Cocoa Plum will be now shed a completely different direction than they want it to go. Keep that in mind. If you're willing to put your entire community and the houses downstream from that breach in jeopardy, be that stupid person that goes out there and drives down that road and continues to cause decay. Keep that in mind. If roads are closed, stay off of them. If you have a boat and you're willing to work your way in and save people, FEMA's all over the place. They're bringing boats in from outside of our county. We've got great people doing great things. Great people doing great things. We just have to stay out of their way. Or you got to help. There's no reason not to help. But if you're coming around here to look to see what damage there is, why don't you watch TV? You're not going to see Northport because they're not filming it too much, but we're going to have pictures this evening of drone shots. We're going to have pictures of the pictures I've taken that I'm telling you, it's just not a good scenario. There's a lot of good people that are without their homes now that are trying to figure out, how do I get to the next day? My suggestion is if you got an open door and you got an open spot to put somebody, take them in 24, 48 hours, get some bearings. The hotels are jam-packed from people relocating and moving around. Like I said, if you can just sit back and think about what happened. Everybody north got out of Tampa Bay and they went to Orlando. Those hotels are full. By the way, this storm went up to Orlando. So guess what? All those people are in the storm or were in the storm. Even though they were out of the danger zone, they were still within the storm. There are other people's heading south to take our hotels here in Northport because they didn't want to be there. I'm going to tell you, the people who are watching TV right now and able to watch TV and look at the devastation. I like my location. I like Northport's location compared to this storm being in Tampa, because I can't imagine the lives lost and the devastation because we're seeing that down south. Imagine the most populated areas getting slammed. That storm was well past Key West. I have friends in Key West that are texting me and telling me my house is now the new public pool. Think about that. If that storm came here and the tides took care of, and I'm telling you, it was tides. It was the backwashing that got them, because my guys were texting me during. It wasn't that bad. The winds, yes, but the water, unbelievable. Couple things to say about that. You can shelter from the wind, shelter right from the wind, but you got to run from the water. And I'm going to say it and say it and say it. Those of you who are in a situation right now where you're not running from the water today, you're making a bad choice. Family members, if you've got people in the surge area, and I'm not saying flood zone, surge areas, okay? Anywhere around canals right now, they're not a good place to be. Not a good place at all. Get out, move away. We don't know what's coming from up north, because guess what happened up north? They got all that rain. And I got to tell you, the rivers and streams up north, they don't run out, they run down. It's coming our way. They're pushing water out of Northport. Our public works department right now is working overtime to get that done. And we've got to remember that with everything that they do, if we don't appreciate the attempt that they're making right now to manage 20 plus inches of water being dumped in our town, and then handle the water that's being shed north of us, or that was shed north of us. That's to me, that's a huge undertaking. And after this, maybe as a community, we need to thank Public Works and understand that we've got 80 miles of canal. They're managing 80 miles of canal in Northport. More miles of canal than any other community. You might have to go to Italy to match that or beat it. No other city has what we have. We may not have oceanfront. No other city has 80 miles of canals. And no other city right now has 80 miles of canals at capacity, with every one of our stations opened up wide. I was down on Hillsborough. It's going to be terrifying if that road collapses and all that water goes down the canal that runs next to and under US 41. My point is, if we unleash that beast, is 41 going to halt? Is 41 going to collapse if we release all that water from the Coco Plum. Because last time I checked, easiest access is what it's going to take. And the swirling pool of water that is right there right now might be 5,000 times heavier than your bathtub. I'm just telling you, the sucking sound and the twisting of that water that's going under Hillsboro and degrading that road is unbelievable. And if that canal takes on all of Coco Plum, how many houses downstream are we going to put in jeopardy because we want to go look and see? Or I have a bigger truck, I can do it. I talked to a guy earlier today. We were there and I was yelling at him. And he said, "Don't yell at me. I'm 48. Okay, I won't yell at you." So I went over and I shook his hand. And I said, "Oh, by the way, you're going to be stupid if you drive down this road. And it's not whether you can make it or not. It's whether you're willing to compromise somebody else down the stream." As soon as I talked to him and I got back in my car, my niece said, "Well, that conversation changed." Yeah, it did change. The reality is, once he heard what I had to say, which I was trying to get my point across, he made the decision to turn around and leave that area. You can walk it. You can go down and look at it. You can be looky-loos like that. But don't drive your heavy vehicles through there. If a road is closed, be smart. There's people out there, I promise you, I've got friends right now. If you got a big truck, I got a guy right now that's got a bigger truck than you. Don't matter. There's a song out there. I love my truck, all right? My truck has been places the last 3 days that anybody who knows me knows I wouldn't take it. But it went. And wasn't happy about it. But today's different than 3 days ago. There's help here. There are boats here. FEMA is here. They're going out in these boats and they're trying to talk people out of their homes. One of the hardest things to do, and I promise you, because I have a gentleman who's here, one of the hardest things to do is actually talk about leaving your home. Talk about leaving your home. Easiest way to do that, though, was, what are you going to do if you stay? There's water all around you. There's water coming in your front door. There's water coming in your back door. What are you going to do? How long do you want to stay? How much longer is enough? Maybe we need to take a different approach. Maybe you just need a reality check and realize that as long as you have your life, anything can be rebuilt. Anyone can start back over again. Everyone needs to understand this isn't a second chance. It's your first chance to revitalize what you're doing and move your life forward. You're not alone by any stretch of the imagination. Northport is a critical zone. Critical. But I'm going to tell you what. As much as I want Northport to be the epicenter of help, we don't need to be the epicenter of help. We need to understand that our communities south of us are in such dire need that I hope that people that are driving down there right now, that are just trying to see what it looks like, stop, understand their lives that are changed forever. There are lives that are no longer in existence. And some of those lives are going to be because they did the right thing. They went to the right places. They listened, and yet they're still dead today. If we don't realize that as a community north of them, I want us to get help. I want us to be a better community. And I know damn well, after 23 years of being here, I love this community. I know we will be better. We will be better. I know Punta Gorda got hit by Charlie. They were better. They will be better again. I know that for a fact. I know it. I believe it in my heart of hearts. I know the commissioners down there. Jaha Cummings, great man. Jaha's not going to let things go south. They're going to pick up these pieces and they're going to make it right. This was not done by leadership. This was not done by anybody but Mother Nature. But you know what? Our cities, our towns, our permitting departments, they were inundated before this. As a realtor, I'm telling you right now, we were inundated beyond belief. I don't even know what's going to happen now, because we're not talking about the houses that we were building. We're talking about communities that have to be totally rebuilt. Rebuilt. Everybody needs to be thankful that their family, their friends, their loved ones are safe, sound, and secure. 3 words: safe, sound, and secure is what we use in real estate. Make sure people are safe, sound, and secure. If they're not your family, if they're not your loved ones, go meet somebody. Go give them a hug. I've given more hugs in the last 3 days than I do it on a Ohio State football game. And I'm going to promise you right now, all of my Buckeye fans, all of my friends in my Buckeye group, all of my Buckeye family that meet at Twisted Fork, they get hugs from me every football game, when they come in the door and when they leave. Everybody needs to give a hug. Mrs. Rogers, I was a kid, Mrs. Rogers, she did the hug club. I was in the service up in Anchorage. That woman flew up there to see me. Hug club. Hug club. Do you know how much that hug from her and her son meant to me when I was stationed in Alaska? Hug club. It takes an event like this and a conversation I'm having with you right now to get that memory to come forward in this conversation. I know that you didn't want to chime in to hear me talk and rant and rave about what's going on. But keep in mind, if we don't change as a community, if we don't step up to the plate as a community and start treating every single person that we see after this event as somebody we care about, because they're in the one family that matters today. They're in the survival of Ian. And that's a bigger family of people than we've ever had. Please throw some comments up there. I've got several in there now. John Cook says, "Get out, people." You can't fix stupid. I agree with that, John. Let's see. Let's see. We have electric, hot water, and internet. Call me if we can help. Listen, Susan, I appreciate your help. I appreciate everything you do. I know that you're a big time volunteer. I would just say volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. I've been doing it for 23 years down here. I've had some great, great help, some great, great people volunteer. If there's ever a time that being a tired volunteer or being a person who says, I volunteered, I don't want to do it anymore, or I don't need to do it, someone else will. Okay, change your attitude. Let's readjust. Let's readjust some attitude. If we can rebuild a city, we can rebuild attitude. And rebuilding attitude means that we have to have people on the same page. We may not be fighting the same fight. We gotta learn to get past some of this bullshit that's out there right now. Stop hating each other. Start moving this thing forward. And by all means, stop listening to the political bullshit that's out there. Find some common ground. Susan goes to the common ground. We call that area common ground. They all come together as common ground. Nothing that's going to happen from this point forward in our communities is going to be based on an R and a D. It's going to be based on survival, outcome. Where are we going from here? Screw the R and the D, throw it away, take your bullshit somewhere else. We're done with it here. Okay? This is time to get to work as a community, work together, grab your shovels, grab your gloves, and go to work. Clean our community up, one bag at a time. Start outside your front door. I see people doing it all day long. First thing I did was I raked all my stuff down on my curb. There was 2 feet of water coming in to our street. Maybe a little less. I'll give it 18 inches. Okay. But I moved it all down to the street, and I thought, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And I felt better. Because as a kid, I cut 25 yards a week. I always just clean them up. Old habits are hard to break. So I go out and I drive the community. I help save people. And the first thing I did was look over. And I now know it's Grandma, because her 2 granddaughters were standing there and said, we can't get her to go. And I said, yes. And I watched her as I was riding down the boat to go help somebody on a street in Northport. She was sweeping out her driveway, getting the debris out of her garage. And I asked her granddaughters, does she feel better? And they said she feels wonderful. She's home and her house is in good shape and she just keeps it nice. There's a lot of cleanup to do. There's a lot of people out there that are not able to do it. If you're able and willing and have the right attitude, this area can get cleaned up in a much quicker fashion. And I'm going to promise you, these guys that are out here trying to rip you off, check credentials. Don't let them talk you into putting a new roof on your house without a permit. Please tarp your roof and wait on a permit. I've sold those houses. They're going to be harder to get insurance on this time around because they are not inspected. And yes, while I know you want a roof, I wouldn't pay them to put shingles on. I'd pay them to roll it. You can go ahead and roll your protective covering over it. Fix my holes. Put the rubber over it. Move on. Get the permit. Do it the right way. Because you may pay twice. Because this comes down to an insurance policy. This comes down to, if you do it the wrong way, will they cover you this time through? Charlie, Yeah, they covered people, but they questioned every roof that didn't have a permit. Every single roof. With the changes that are happening within the insurance industry today, 20-year roof already projected, not 3-tab. I'm talking 20-year roof, current made. They're already projecting a 15-year life. No longer 15 years for a 20-year roof. We live in the state of Florida where we get storms and we might get some heat. The heat is what does the damage to the shingle. If you don't do it right, who has another 10 grand to do it again? And by the way, that price is probably going to go up. I can't see roofers coming from out of state not to make a killing at what they're about to do. If you don't use caution right now, you may hurt yourself in the end. You may hurt the value of your home in the end. We don't know what the insurance companies are going to do. I'm going to try to get a hold of Justin from Hardin Insurance Group. And I'm going to try to get him on. I'm going to throw your comment up here, John Cook. I even used a legitimate company and put a roof on my house after Charlie. They tried to jack $5 more grand onto the price. Yeah, there you go. Read the comment. It's right there. It's right there. This is John Cook telling you how it was after Charlie. I'm going to tell you right now, you need to find a legitimate company, and you need to understand, you need to make sure that you're going the way you want to go. There are people out there that are going to make decisions that we're not going to catch in our listening audience. You can share this information. You can tell them. You can caution them. John, great man. I appreciate everything you do as far as being part of my listening audience and participating. It's vital to having a show like this, like Rich Suggs, like Marie, Common Ground with our open mic night. If we didn't have our volunteers like Susan and all of our musicians going in there, the voice of Northport, how about that? We are the voice of Northport. How about some comments now on whether we have actually been appreciated enough in the national news? Because I know we haven't been getting the wham bam moments. And it's all because media doesn't get the flashbang with us. I'm just telling you, I'm agreeing that we were not hurt as bad as other cities. But the devastation that's here, it ain't funny. The restoration that has to go on here with a lot of these houses that are waterlogged from front door to back door, from some of them halfway up the ceiling. Think about that for a minute. That person's not going back in that home with all the black mold. The only grace that we have right now is that we have cool weather. We have good breezes for now. And we have a magnificent amount of people who have been rallied, who have been corresponding with each other on how to get us out of this situation as fast as possible. Electric is going on. Electric 2 days after an event, catastrophic event like this, means an AC unit can actually dry it out. Hundreds of thousands of dollars being saved if we can get electric on and get these houses air conditioned and get them dried out. I'm not saying there's not going to be repair. Not saying that. I'm just talking about how much less can you do. I read a thing about on the insurance policy, and the insurance policy stated you must do anything and everything to prevent damage to your home. That includes turn the AC unit on if you have electric. Well, you're going to stay cool anyway. But you're also going to keep and reduce the black mold from growing within that house. It's not going to happen with every house. Not going to happen with every single house. These houses that have been saturated are going to need to be rebuilt. Gutted, rebuilt. Working class, get ready. We were struggling before this with houses. We were struggling with location to live. I don't even know what's going to happen with our community within the fact that we were 80 to 90% working class, not just here, but south of us in Punta Gorda and Port Charlotte. I don't know that anybody's really thought about that. I don't know how many trailers I saw come into this community with Charlie. We had FEMA lots everywhere. Those FEMA lots, people stayed in those for a long time. Long time. And I think there's more devastation with this on a grander scale up and down our coast than we've ever dealt with before. I was here for the four that crisscrossed the state. I don't think we had that much damage with four of them coming across our state. When you see what's happening, appreciate what you have. Appreciate that it can be taken away from you in one storm. And appreciate the fact that you have a life to continue with a lot of good that you can bring to our community. So anybody that's out there that's feeling depressed, that's feeling like, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming, you're not alone. You're not alone. Find somebody who can pick you up. Find somebody you can hang out with that will reassure you that it's okay. That it's okay. Make sure that you're with someone. And by all means, don't do anything stupid. Your life is going to get better like everybody else's. And the one thing I'll tell you that maybe it's a game changer for somebody, is that if you think your life is better without you here, we've recently had somebody who committed suicide, sort of, within our realm. Accidental, whether or not, don't know. I don't know that we ever say this loud enough to the people around us. And maybe we should start yelling it today, because there are too many people in this world that are depressed over their regular lives, let alone now this trauma that's at a completely different level. I want you to tell them what the impact of them not being here will mean. Maybe that's the eye opener. Stop telling them not to do it. Because somebody that you tell not to do something, they're going to do it. Why don't you tell them how it's going to impact everyone around them? Because I'm going to promise you, I went to an event the other night before the hurricane. And I got to tell you, I think if he would have saw the end result of his decision, I don't know that he would have had the ability to go through with it. There were too many people that cared about him. Too many people that were involved with his life. Please get people help. Please give them a hug. And please move them forward. If you can do that, you can rebuild our community one life at a time. This is John Rawlings with WKDW Radio, signing off for now. Take care, and I'll talk to you later today. Make sure you go give somebody a hug. Talk to you soon.